Okay, because as I'm listening to you talk, there's two questions that have arisen in my mind. Are you a former attorney, or are you a student of the law? How did
I'm a paralegal.
you're
I'm
okay?
certified paralegal. I don't do too much work in that field. As a matter of fact, I was accused of practicing law without a license by the legal community here before, years ago.
Yes.
So what God did for me is prepared me for this position. He prepared me, I say, perfectly for this
Yes.
position. And so now when I find myself having to go into the books, or having to understand the statutes, even as we went down Baton Rouge the week before last before the Fiscal Review Committee, and while nobody called me and said these are the records that we need, nobody called and said this is what you're coming for, I was able to go into the statutes and to find that in the statutes, I think it was subsection 1357, I think title 39. It showed me who they were. It showed
Yes.
me how to prepare. It showed me that they should be looking at whether or not our town was fiscally solvent or not. Now, even though that's what the statutes say that they were supposed to do, we spent very, very little time talking about the financial solvency of the town, which again made me wonder, why am I here?
Yes.
So I rely on a background in the paralegal field when I need to, and it has helped me a lot, because as these allegations are thrust upon us, it gives me the non-fear factor.
Okay.
To be able to sit here in this office from Friday, as I did, to Friday evening to Sunday morning, to read and to prepare my own defense. And we do what we got to do, and sometimes we have to call out for the help of an attorney, but a lot of times we can do a lot of this work on our own.
So you're saving the town even money right there.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt.
The second question, and I appreciate your answer there. The reason I asked regarding the anti or pro Larson Act feel from your counsel is because yours is the third administration that I've had a chance to work up close with as far as learning this transition of understanding what the laws actually are. And it seems like there are, like you said, they weren't even abiding by those laws.
That's right.
And
That's
now
right.
that you have come in and you're actually saying, okay, well, look, y'all might not even be aware of what the laws are,
That's
but this
right.
is what they are. This
That's
is what
right.
they are, and we are operating within our legal rights.
That's right. That's right.
It's incumbent upon them to learn what that is.
That's right.
But the LMA, the Louisiana Municipal Association, has made their services available to every municipality that I'm aware of.
No doubt.
As to what the Larson Act's
That's right. That's
stipulations are.
That's right.
And it gives a detailed explanation as to what the legal role of the mayor is, what the legal role of each town council
That's
member
right.
is,
That's
from
right.
A to Z.
That's right.
And do they not also conduct seminars and this kind of thing?
Yes, we do. As a matter of fact, I mentioned in Baton Rouge that last year I served on the LMA board as vice president. So when that question came up last night at the meeting, the ex-mayor for the last administration stood up in the back of the room and said, hey, you know that the LMA provides all these services. The LMA does this, the LMA does that. And I said, why didn't you opt to have your council there at this last meeting that we just had just a few weeks ago, if that long? And I said to him, I'm certainly aware. If there's anybody that's aware of what they provide, the services that are available, it's me. And I said to him, we all decided to go to the LMA conference that's going to be held in Shreveport in June. It's either June or early part of July. And we opted to do that because my knowledge of what they do let me know in my background that this meeting coming up in June is going to be a lot more conducive to what they need to learn. It's going to be a bigger convention. The one that they just had was, I think, called a midwinter deal, and it's a mini version of what they do come mid-year. So it'll be a bigger meeting over in the Shreveport area, and we are all on point to go to that because I do understand the value of them learning what they need. Yeah.
And with you being the vice president of the LMA and mayor, I mean, you would be negligent not to have trained your council on.
That's right. That's right.
So I mean, it was almost like an accusation in and of
Yes,
itself.
yes, it was. It most definitely was. Yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly where he's coming from. And what I see when you're working in a hostile environment, and that's what for the last 4 years I've had to do. And now to have an opportunity to work in an environment that's nowhere near as hostile, I have prepared myself for this day. I've prepared myself, even though the things that I did in the past, actually, while I knew that they were right as prescribed by Larson, it didn't serve me well because they used what I had to give them, information that they were entitled to. They used everything to fight against me, to say, but yeah, you didn't do that, and you didn't cross that T, and do that. But I had to continue to do what's right, so that by the time the new council have come aboard, now what I'm able to do is to continue in doing what I knew was right, and now they receive it. They receive the bank statements without being so critical about what we had to pay. They received the revenue sheets and without trying to find out what the problem was. When the guy stood up in the meeting last night and said, yeah, but we don't understand your budget sheet. Your budget sheet, as introduced to the paper, says that you are saving the town $200,000, or that's what it said. I said, listen, this is the paper. This is not. It's one here that's a little more current. But what I wanted them to see is that every year prior to this year, the budget report that was submitted to the paper showed a deficit of about 300,000, sometime 500,000, and sometime I've seen as much as $900,000 deficit. That I said that's unacceptable. I don't know how in the world you concerned citizens have not opted to come to a council meeting prior to now
to deal with that.
That's right. And so now here I am saying I'm going to make sure that we operate within the confines of what we can realistically see coming in. And you got a problem with that? You're going to make me for 2 hours explain myself and justify that? I said I want you to know that when I saw that the town was to bring in $2.9 million, almost $3 million this year, and actually $4 million if you include the water and sewer enterprise aspect of what we do,
yes.
That our revenue sheet showed that we had brought in, as of December, $1.9 million. Now that's perfect. That's right on the money with where we're supposed to be. And in an economically depressed economy that we're working in, I don't see how that could not be a good thing for you. When I submitted to the review committee down there, and I showed them 12 months of our bank statement, and they could see that we are right at the same amount that we're bringing in money as that we're paying. And then again, in this depressed economic system, that ought to be applauded. But it's not here. As a matter of fact, the community has not been interested enough to come to a meeting prior to now about anything fiscally, but now all of a sudden you tell me that it's not racist, but you're here and you're questioning everything. I don't want to take it as being racist, but it's kind of hard for me not to.
Right, the pattern, because you're not talking about one incident, you're talking about pattern.
Yeah, that's
pattern.
right, that's right.
And whenever it comes to allegations of racism and this kind of thing, one isolated incident is never enough.
That's exactly right.
It has to be a pattern.
That's exactly right. And they have shown a pattern for the last 4 years. Even though the council had the ultimate say, the mayor's job, according to again Larson Act, is just to run the day-to-day operations of the town. Even with me having only that limited amount of authority, they were here every meeting, back to back. I mean, wall to wall, to fight even the thought, or the concept, or the vision that the mayor had. When they knew though, at the end of the day, that council pretty much had me where they wanted me. But now, like I said, it's a whole different ball game, because and you know what's gonna, I think, surprise me even more is that now that we have a council, that I have a council that I can work with and that's working with me, that I will be even more fiscally prudent. You know, I'll be even more, because we have even more of an obligation to show that while I might want to do something in recreation this year for the kids, or I would love to consider doing something in terms of entertainment, but during this, you see, during this economic time, there are unfunded mandates coming down, coming up from Baton Rouge. There are retirement increases that we're having to pay firemen, police officers and all. It's causing other towns havoc. I think I read where Monroe was looking at $1 million+ of deficit just based on those couple of mandates. And so when we look at Jonesboro and we realize that we're not having those kinds of problems, that's primarily because of our prudency as it relates to finances. But I understand the outcry of the people, because they feel that there has not been enough transparency, and I would have to agree that the last 4 years the council and I guess the mayor too, I'll take whatever blow I need to take, that we were not focused, we were fighting. Yeah, when you're fighting all the time, to share anything with the group that's not going to be received in a way that says, let's sit down and work this out. It's going to be, oh, that's your fault. And we are trying to get you out of office, so there's nothing we're going to do to work with you. And now we've been blessed to have a council that says, hey, man, what's the problem and what can we do to help to make it right? Now, not everybody has that luxury, and everybody gets to come back under those conditions and circumstances, but I don't know if I would have wanted to come back under the same 4-year condition that we just left from.
I see. I see. Can you tell me more about that transparency? Because, I mean, your audits are already public record.
Yeah, that's right.
And
see, but what the people have the most problem with is that for the last 2 audits, there has been no disclaimers, which means that the auditors are saying we cannot give an opinion, a professional opinion about these numbers. That has been, as a result, derived from a number of things. One has been wow, now I'm thinking get in. I don't want to get sued about this at this point.
Okay.
But we have had deficiencies, I would say, in personnel in the accounting department. The problem that I had with this is that the person who was handling that part of the operation, according to Larson Act, could not be terminated by me. That created major problems for me.
Could not?
Could not be. I've had numerous agencies to ask me, why don't you just let it go? We've talked for quite a few minutes about the council and the Larson Act and the duties that's vested in each group.
Yes, sir.
The clerk is a position under the Larson Act that can only be recommended by the mayor and has to be confirmed by the council. Upon the council, and this is getting deep, upon the council having confirmed her, and upon her being a friend of the council,
yes, sir,
not necessarily supportive of the administration.
I've seen it before.
Okay.
I mean, you're not telling me anything.
All right, then I don't have to go too much further than that.
Right.
And so it's created the kind of problem. But what in my effort to make it right, we hired what I was told to do, because my not being an accountant, I'm a politician, I'm not an accountant, but my understanding of that world was to follow the recommendation of the legislative auditors and you'd be all right. So having been recommended to hire an outside firm, as we did back in 2009, we did that, and of course we received 9 findings. Okay. One of those findings had to do with the gospel concert. So actually, according to the Attorney General, that should not have really been a finding anyway, but we had a problem. So 8 real findings. I felt good about that, because even though you say you can't really give us a claimer, you can tell us what we need to correct. Mm-hmm. So over the next year, that's what we did. We corrected those things.
And that's common. I mean,
yeah, that's right.
Auditors are not supposed to be adversarial per se, but
right.
just to say, this is how you can pick up your game better.
That's right. That's right. And that's what we did. And that's why when I went to Baton Rouge, I took my folders down there, and I had 2010, 2009, 2008, all of their recommendations and what we had done to address those recommendations. I wanted to make sure that they understood that just because we've had those 2 disclaimers, and I expect to have a 3rd disclaimer this year, I really do, because when the legislative auditors came in, they looked at the books and said that we're not satisfied with your 2007, 2008 numbers. Okay, if you're not satisfied with my 2007 and 2008 numbers, then even though you advised me last year to hire a CPA firm to help us, and she did for 4 months leading up to the audit time of this current period, but because you now come in and say you don't trust the 07, 08 numbers, then that means that nullifies all the work that she's done. Sure. We can't accept her numbers because this is not correct. So I'm saying that it's been a one thing after another, almost sabotage, because that's what the auditors were actually calling it. They said it looked like an outright sabotage. So now that this lady, you have to be real careful on this part right here.
Okay.
Yeah, even though that the lady, the clerk has now opted to resign because she realized, in part, that I was going to not recommend her. While I couldn't fire her during the time of the administration, I could not recommend her, and her name would not come before the council for confirmation. So she understood that her time was up, and she had to move on. I expressed to her how saddened I was that she never loved me, that she could never embrace me, and I really wish that she had, but because of the strain in the community and the people that she, you know, the folk that she answered to, I guess, would not really allow it. But she's now gone, and my deputy clerk, I accepted her resignation last week. So now today I hired a lady who is an accountant, who's handling that business, and she's working with the clerk who is an accountant, who's helping her to make sure they get on point. And we are now we've ordered new software that came in to create a new system, because our system is over 20 years old, and we'll have on the 16th a professional firm to come in to train on the new software, and we will be hiring a CPA as recent as early as probably the next 2 or 3 days to come in to oversee the overall project.
So your transparency has become even amplified. It's even
No doubt, and I'm going to put it in the paper probably next week. I want to let the public know what documents I presented to the fiscal oversight committee. I got a 12 o'clock.
Okay, listen, we can.
But listen, man, I wanted to say one thing too, because I wanted to say that over the first term, and you have my piece over there that you can look at your leisure. But over the first term, this town was recognized in first place in our fire department in the state. We received second place in the state for best improved water system. We were number 2 in community development in the state in our category. We won first place cleaning city in the state in our category 2 years back to back. We have a lot of fun competing, and we feel that we've done a lot. And there are other awards that we've been given, and I feel very, very good about where we are now. We have built 2 prisons. Of course, I'm not that excited about incarceration or the business of incarceration, but from an economic standpoint, we have to say it is what it is. We just finished building a second prison that's under the direction of our sheriff, but that helped with the increase of the population, because I tell folk that the prisoners and inmate, they do count for a census count. And when you add that and you calculate that, and it now has brought us right up to becoming designated as a city, as opposed to a town. And when you get into those kinds of numbers, it increases your entitlements in terms of monies that the town would be in line to receive. So we're really excited, man, about where we are. We just need to get some community rest, so that folk can come to grips and to start to have a little bit more acceptance, so that we might then be able to work together more collaboratively. Working with my CDC firms here, the companies, nonprofits. One nonprofit has just built 40 new homes in an area that's already full of new residents. They have just built a learning center, so we're now starting to teach folk how to become entrepreneurs and doing those kinds of things out there. We have those classes all the time. We're now about to build an expo where we're going to have the fine arts, cultural arts, and those kinds of things that's going to be held out there, and a lot of other stuff. It's going to be a university kind of complex. There are several other things that the guy is doing. We're going to be working very, very closely over the next few months to build this hotel. Trying to find we already have the groundwork, the land has been purchased and all. It's just a matter now of getting the investors to do what we got to do in the hotel. So I'll tell you, there's a lot of things going on, and for the last 2 or 3 months, there's been a lot of distraction. And we've had to deal with the distraction while at the same time run the town. But now that we moved at least beyond the issues that we've been dealing with for the last 2 or 3, now we can move into doing some other things that will be a lot more progressive. But I thank you for this segment of our session. And if I didn't have the 12 o'clock, we'd stay with it. But the next time we'll set up again and go from here.
Very good, very good.
Okay.
Thank you so much, man.
Okay, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
All right.